Hi, everyone. I'm HuffPost Senior Entertainment Reporter Lee Blickley, and my goodness, were we entertained last night for that 3-hour finale of The Bachelorette, right, everybody? Woo! After watching Becca get her heart broken last season by Arie, we were given the chance to watch her own personal journey to find love, and she's now engaged. Becca said goodbye to Blake, but she chose Garrett, who proposed with a gorgeous Neil Lane diamond. So let's take a look at a clip before we bring them out to hear more of their story.
I've been waiting to say it for the right person. I've been holding back because I wanted to be 1000% certain. Garrett Vincent Yrigoyen, I love you. Oh. I love you so much. I do.
Oh, you do? Oh my God. I love you so much. I do.
It feels so good to finally see.
Oh, it means the world. I love you so much. Well, Becca. Rebecca Joe Kufrin, my Becca, will you marry me?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Give me that finger.
Oh my God. It's you. It's us. It's fun together.
Oh my God. I love you so much.
I love you.
Aw. Let's welcome Becca Kufrin and Garrett Yrigoyen. Yrigoyen, did I say that right?
You did say it right.
Are you ready to take that name?
We might hyphenate.
Oh, cool.
Which would be a mouthful
Kufrin
for the
Yrigoyen.
kids one day. Kufrin Yrigoyen. So we'll have to ease them in slow. It's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Guys, congratulations. Let's get another round of applause. You're engaged. How is it to watch that,
you.
Garrett? I heard that's like your first time seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good watching it back. It brings up great memories.
It's special.
Did you trip on any of your words there? Did you have it planned? Did you had written out what you wanted to say to her when you proposed?
I definitely was tripping on my words a little bit. I got up there, and I think I got so nervous at one point, I'm pretty sure I blacked out. And then I was like, all right, just tell her how beautiful she looks, how good she makes you feel, and that you're ready to do the damn thing. Yeah.
But when so after I told him I loved him, we were so excited. We were jumping and cheering and kissing, and he forgot to get down on one knee. So everyone's like, propose to her, get down on one knee. And he's like, oh yeah, duh, that's why we're here.
Whoops. Well, I'm sure in the moment, and you guys were like sweating in the Maldives.
Maldives, yeah.
It was hot.
It looked boiling.
I felt like standing there because I had to wait for so long. I was like, I probably look like I just got out of the shower.
Okay, yeah, and Chris Harrison said, Garrett, your girl's right out there around the corner, go get her. And I was expecting, there's big trees and bushes, and I was expecting around the corner. And I walked out past these bushes, and I was like, who is that down on the beach? She was like 200, 300 yards down there. Yeah.
And that's after that long boat ride that you had to take.
Yes, so needless to say, I got sweaty walking up there. Yeah.
Well, guys, congratulations. What exciting news. And Becca, you have been such a great Bachelorette, right? And we're so happy that you
Thanks, guys.
How has this journey been for you? What did you walk away with knowing about being the Bachelorette, and how maybe you could look back on, say, Arie's season and see how he might have struggled too?
Yeah, I mean, until you're in this position, you can try to prepare yourself for it, but until you're there, having to say the hard goodbyes and go through this crazy emotional roller coaster, there's no way that you can even fathom what will happen. And I knew going into it, I was, of course, going to break some hearts and have to say goodbye to 27 guys, but I wanted to treat all of them how I would want to be treated. And so I remember how it felt to be on his side, on the other end of things, and to just keep that in mind the entire journey, and just to treat each guy with as much respect as I could give them.
That was a lot of breakups, girl.
Yeah, no more.
Yeah, you're done. And that first night when you saw Garrett in the minivan, did you have that feeling? Did you have the eagles in your stomach at that point?
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first guys. That night is a whirlwind, and it's crazy. You have no idea what to expect. And so at first, when he pulled up in the minivan and walked out, I just saw this big grin. But right away, I felt like there was just that instant connection where we just laughed, and we actually they didn't show the entire interaction that night, but we were eating orange slices out of the back, and we got in the car and we're honking the horn and just having such a good time. And it was like, what, a couple minutes into meeting him. So he was one of the first guys that I walked away, and I was like, I'm excited to sit down and talk with him more.
Did you get that sense from her that immediate connection between the two of you?
Yeah, I did. I got an immediate connection coming right out of the van. Obviously, she's very beautiful, but then just getting to talk to her, and when she came up, there was an orange slice, and I was thinking, she's got this pretty white dress on. All she's going to want to do is take a bite of it. And I said, are you going to take a bite, or what are you going to do with it? I'm kind of whispering it to her, and she's like, heck no, man, I'm going to eat the whole thing. I was like, oh, man. So I felt comfortable with her right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And how did you come up with that idea to do the, soccer dad thing?
I had a little help from some friends, but yeah, they knew that I wanted to get married and start a family, and so they said, what better way than to roll up in a minivan? I said, pack that baby with some diapers, car seats, soccer balls. I wanted to just hit the button, have the door open, and just all these balls fall out.
It was so funny, too, because when he got out, or when we were walking away from the van, he had the keys, and so he chucked them, and he's like, here you go, Chris Harrison, and he's like, shoot, did I hit him?
I told him to valet the van, but he wasn't even standing there, so there was a canopy with cameras, so I literally threw the keys off this canopy, and all these people were like, what did he just throw at us? And
Where's Chris Harrison?
Yeah.
What we learned is Chris Harrison's really never around. He's off golfing or lounging in a beach chair.
He's living the life.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got the first impression rose. And I heard that you had never watched The Bachelor before, so you weren't aware of what the first impression rose was?
I knew a little bit that there was a first impression rose, but, there were so many great guys there the first night, and just getting to know a few of them there in that short amount of time, it was just such a shock and surprise to me, as I was the guy to get the first impression rose. And so, like I said, I had such a great feeling, and it was so comfortable with her from the first moment I met her coming out of the van to when she gave me the first impression rose. I was like, holy crap, what am I getting myself into? She's awesome. Yeah.
Reality TV.
Yeah.
But the first impression rose holds a lot of weight these days, because I think it's like the last 4 of you now.
I think I was the fourth.
Yeah.
So no pressure
Sean
this time.
and Brian and Jordan have all gotten the first impression rose, and then all those ladies are still with their men. So does that make you guys feel hopeful that maybe?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When those girls told me that first night, I was like, whew, no pressure, guys, right? And so I just went into it being like, I'm just going to give this to whoever makes me feel so comfortable, so good. He kept me laughing and smiling the entire night. And with the fly fishing, he reminded me of my dad. I'm like, this will be a great guy. So fast forward to the very end, I didn't even think about it, I think, until that last week in the Maldives. And I was like, oh my gosh, this could be Garrett, and I could just continue this trend now.
That's amazing. And Garrett, how was it for you to be a part of, a contestant on the show, vying for the affection of Becca with all these men? Did you enjoy that side of it, meeting new friends and getting to know the guys as well, or was it awkward?
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment of it. The places we went, the people we met, and especially the guys on the show. There were so many great guys on the show that come from all different walks of life. And especially as it got whittled down towards the end, you just got to know the guys even more and more on a personal level, and just how great of men they are, and that they come from awesome families and they have great core values. So that was fun to get to meet those guys, and they live all throughout the nation, which is cool too. So have connections for going all over and just visiting those guys. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, will any of these guys be invited to the wedding, guys?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm still friends with some of them too, and so that's what I loved about Garrett so much, is that he seemed to get along with everyone. And there's of course the drama throughout the show between some of the guys, but he stayed out of it, and he was always on such good terms with the guys. And so even on the group dates, I liked to see who played well with others, because that's what I wanted in a partner, and he always did that.
Yeah, you did navigate this journey really well. You never had one of those emotional breakdowns, really. With her family, you cried a lot. You cried.
I did.
But I have to say, how was it for you to sort of just stay out of your head and be in the moment? Because it seemed like you were one of the guys, like Becca said, who didn't really get involved in the drama and tried to focus on your relationship.
Yeah, that's all I focused on. I just considered it a relationship between her and I, and that she wasn't dating all the other guys. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but that's genuinely how I approached the entire thing. So when I wasn't around her, I didn't try to think about what so-and-so was doing on a date with her or what they were doing in a group date. I just felt like when I was away from her that I was away from her like a normal relationship. And then when I was with her, I was making the best of the times.
Yeah, 'cause it must be awkward when you come home from a date. Or some, the other guys come home and they're like, me and Becca did this and me and Becca did that. You kind of just stayed out of it and just, stayed friends with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is so weird to say, but yeah, they would come back, and they'd say, oh, I had such a great time with Becca. And I just felt like my times with Becca were so great as well. So I was just going off of that. And it's not that I was saying that she didn't have a stronger connection with one of the other guys. It's just I was trusting in what I felt with her.
Yeah, it's easy to get wrapped up in everything and, like you said, to hear people talking about the dates and having to get in your head about things. And so I remember last season, I was just trying to take time for myself. Like if I ever got overwhelmed or nervous or anxious about the other dates, I would just be like, okay, Becca, you need to take a 15-minute breather, just like journal. It'll be okay. You just have, like you said, make the most of your own time with that person.
Yeah.
And so, you got to know these guys. Becca clearly got to know them. Who do you think would make a good next Bachelor? Because there's a lot of Jason fans, right?
Yeah.
But then watching Blake get his heart broken last night was rough. I just want Blake to find some love, too.
Yeah.
So
I want all of those guys to find love. Honestly, like, especially the handful of guys that were there towards the end. Wills, Colton, Jason, Blake. Like, they're such great guys who deserve to find what we found. And so, I mean, I would watch and support any one of those guys. But, we've talked about this a little bit, and he's so close with Jason, and I just love Jason's energy. He's so charismatic. But I think any of those guys would be open to every girl that they would meet and just make the most of their time. And it would just be fun to watch any of them.
Yeah.
was it a hard decision for you, Becca, to take on this journey and take on the role of Bachelorette? Was it something you were struggling with, or did you know, like, no, this is right, I'm ready to find love?
Yeah, I mean, when I was approached to potentially be the Bachelorette, it took some time. I had a few weeks to think about it before I said yes. And, at the end of the day, I still wanted to find love. I still wanted to find what my parents had, what all of my aunts and uncles had. And so I never wanted any past relationships that didn't work out to stop me from finding that. And so when I made that decision, of course I was scared. It's nerve-wracking. There's so much pressure. But it's also the most worthwhile thing I've ever done. And of course it brought me to this guy over here. But yeah, I mean, there's the ups and downs, and you have the good and the bad, and you just have to go into it knowing that hopefully everything else, all of the good outweighs the bad.
And I don't want to rain on the parade too long, but I have to mention Blake and how heartbroken he was. How hard was that breakup for you? And just being in that moment, at the end, when these two guys are both in love with you, you said you love them both, and they're, you're expecting a proposal. How hard was that to shut it down on Blake?
I mean, the hardest. And then again, I never wanted to hurt anyone. And that last day is so weird because you wake up that morning knowing that it's going to be one of the best, most exciting moments of your life. But before that, you also have to do one of the hardest things. And so it's just this up and down. And I knew going into it, my mind was made up. I knew my heart was with him, but that didn't make it easier saying goodbye to him. And the only thing that I wanted him to walk away knowing was that he didn't do anything wrong. He, helped me fall and made this journey work again. And so I knew that he would be crushed. But again, I was like, I've been through it, and he's a strong guy, and he'll get through it and come out the other end, hopefully just as well.
Yeah. And his goodbye was so genuine. And he said, the worst part is that he'd have to go through it all alone.
Yeah.
How has it been for you guys to have each other? Because it's a whirlwind after the show, and you have to keep it secret. And you have to kind of find that balance between each other, not seeing each other very often. Did you feel for Blake in that moment that he had to kind of do it alone where you guys had each other?
Yeah, of course. And I did like, though, yesterday how he said, I still had my family and friends to lean on. And so that made me feel better in my heart knowing, okay, he still has this great support system. But yeah, to have him go through this, and there's been hard days, we've had some struggles, but to have this person who I can lean on, and now I feel like I can rely on this man who I've never really had in my life before, I mean, it means the world to me.
I know the last time you were here, you mentioned the bumps in the road, and there was some social media stuff that went out.
Yeah.
And I know it must have been hard for you now looking back. How was that when you had to stay quiet? You couldn't support your man in that moment because, you couldn't give away the ending.
I mean, that sucks. It's the hardest thing because I'm very protective of my loved ones. And so all I wanted to do is have his back. And I couldn't give away the ending. I could only say so much. And so I knew that we would have this moment where we could address everything and hopefully put it to bed. And his apology still stands, but it wasn't easy. It was something since right away we've had to talk about constantly and deal with. But again, he was very transparent since the very beginning about it all. And I got to know him for him and who he truly is aside from social media. And at the end of the day, that's who I fell in love with, and he is a good man.
And Garrett, how has it been for you to kind of take in the backlash? And then you said you wanted to learn and grow from this experience. How are you? How do you find yourself learning and growing now after being through something like this?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, especially because it wasn't just affecting me, but it was affecting her and it was affecting my family. And that's the part that crushed me, is that I didn't realize the effect or the weight that a double tap or a like has on social media, and how it can offend somebody and how it can hurt their feelings. And so I realized that I just made a huge mistake, and I was so sorry. I felt so bad about it, and that's why I wanted to put out the public apology, and I still stand by it today. And just from growing and learning from that whole experience, is that I don't make that mistake again, and I am more aware of what I am liking and supporting. So, yeah.
And Becca, how was that a tough time to get through? Because I'm sure on the show you talk a little bit about your own social views and political views, but was that surprising to you, or you knew him at that point? So
yeah, I mean, it was still surprising. It was something that, we had talked about things that were really important to me, like politically, religion, all of that. So for me to see that, it of course was tough at first. And I don't condone those memes, but again, I know how bad he felt, and he did not mean to offend anyone. And so to just make sure that his point got across, where he was truly sorry, but all he wants to do is learn and grow from that, that's all I could ask for in a person. I would much rather have somebody admit mistakes when they're wrong and say, look, like, I'm not perfect, but I never want to do that again, and I want to move forward from this and hope that that sticks. So I could only ask that people would allow him the chance to do that.
And I'm sure it has made you both very strong in your relationship. Going through something like that and talking about these big things are what's going to make you stronger as a couple. Do you agree with that? And have you felt that?
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
definitely. We took that head on, and just from the beginning, I know we've said this and we've pounded it in the ground, but just being honest, open, and transparent with one another from the beginning, and just addressing anything right when it pops up rather than having it fester and go on later on down the road. We just hit it right then and there and move on.
Yeah, so now you're moving on to bigger, better things, but are you guys moving to LA? Are you moving to Nevada? Where are you guys going?
We're still trying to decide that. So he is coming to Minnesota for a while because he's never been there, and I've never been to Reno, so I'll go there for a little bit. But we have been throwing the idea of going to California for a couple of years just to do it. His family's all from there, so we would at least be close to some family.
Yeah.
But no timelines of anything yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to get a fresh start, too, like pick a new place together and start off.
Yeah.
Are you excited to have a roommate, a male roommate?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous because I've lived by myself.
Yeah.
But every time we've been together, we'll see each other every 2 weeks. And I just grow more in love with him. Like, I love his quirks. I love everything about him. He does some funny things and I'm like, are you going to do this when we live together?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love it. I love it about him. So
I leave a paper trace.
towels,
Yeah,
right?
I leave a paper trace
Yes.
wherever I go. It's like I wash my hands or I do something. I get my hands dirty. I rinse them off. I use a paper towel, crinkle it up in my hand. I take it with me, and then I set it down or something like that.
Everywhere.
And she takes the dramatic effect on Instagram and zooms in on it, hyper zooms in, and she sends it to me on Instagram. So if I like go on there, she's like, "Hey, have you seen your Instagram lately?" I'm like, "I don't know." I check in. Oh my gosh, what did you send me? And it's a hyper zoom of a paper towel here, a paper towel there, a paper towel here.
He's like, "How did you even find those?" I'm like, "I will find them."
I just hear her in the background keep opening the trash can and closing it.
You got to buy him a handkerchief or something.
I
the
know,
old school. Just keep
something.
Now, what does Becca do that annoys you?
I wouldn't,
Yeah, watch yourself here.
I wouldn't say.
Yeah, what?
I don't know. I'm pretty easygoing, so nothing really gets under my skin or annoys me to that point. But what cracks me up about her is at night when she gets really tired, she just starts speaking off topic. And so we'll be talking about something. I think she's going into a dream, like she's fallen asleep, and then she starts talking about that dream and talking about people who she doesn't even know or anything, and she'll come out of it and be like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was just talking about." And I say, "Oh, you're tired. All right, good night. I love you. I'll talk to you in the morning," kind of thing. And that cracks me up. So.
Yeah, I warned him. I sleep talk and I sleepwalk a lot, and so I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. But
Yeah.
Well, you two have a very funny rapport between you and just a funny humor. I know there were some, the Eagles one-liner last night, then the Dolphins who look like spiral macaroni and cheese. Like, you guys are just like real.
I haven't seen the entire finale yet,
Yeah.
so I'm
That
like,
was you, Becca, too. It
I
sounds
know.
like a Garrett line, but that was you.
Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel said I was saying butterflies.
Yeah,
And I don't
you
even know. I
were.
think because
Yeah,
I was
you were.
emotional and I was leaving out the L. Butterflies and eagles. Great things.
Is that something you guys sensed in the beginning, that playful energy between you two, that you
Oh.
just make each other laugh?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have never laughed with anyone the way I laugh with him. Like, I feel like my cheeks are going to pop off because I'm always smiling. Like, even in the most random of times, he has a slew of dad jokes up his sleeve that he loves to just spit out 24/7.
Yeah.
But, yeah. He's going to keep life fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're ready to be a dad. I mean, you got the soccer van, you got the dad jokes.
I know.
What's the timeline for babies here? I mean, I got some baby juju for you going.
I don't know. I might come over there, rub the belly.
Puppies first.
Yes.
I keep trying to crack him. I'm like, "Can we just get one dog soon?" He's like, "Rebecca, we don't even know where we're going to live."
She doesn't say one dog. She's like, "Can we get like 4 dogs?" And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Or
Well,
corgis or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Queen of England has a herd of the corgis, and I mean,
She started
sounds
with one.
perfect, right?
Just kidding. Yeah.
You want to be the next royal couple. I mean, you need the corgis
Yeah.
and the soccer van. Big
The van.
But corgis are small dogs. I could see Garrett with like a more, you go fishing, you're outside a lot. Do you want a bigger dog?
I mean, yeah.
These are the important questions, everybody.
Yes. No, I think
dogs.
corgis are cute, all dogs. But yeah, definitely like a little companion to take with me outside. I don't know. We've even talked about labs or an Australian Shepherd, but I think
Or just all of the above.
yeah, all of the above. Just gonna have a farm.
Start out with fur babies.
Yes.
They do take up a lot of your time, though. So if you want to go to Thailand, make sure to get that in before you
That's
get the
what
dog.
We'll have my
Older.
sister watch the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going back to Thailand.
We are.
You guys don't know when yet.
We don't know when yet. I think it'd be fun to go back on our 1-year anniversary, but
Yes.
I mean, I would go back tomorrow if I could.
Now, could you picture yourselves doing a wedding there and maybe broadcasting it all so we could all watch it?
I don't know. I mean, we don't have any wedding plans, but it's something that we would talk about, I think, when the time comes. I mean, the cool thing is everyone saw our love journey unfold, and so it'd be fun to have it from start to finish, but we don't know yet.
So a wedding will happen, hopefully, down the line.
Yeah.
But you want a long engagement. I get that. Now, all the bachelorettes, we've been waiting for a bachelorette wedding, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on, girls, get on it. But I'm very excited for you both.
Thank
and I
you.
want to open it up to some audience questions.
All right.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is mostly for Becca. So obviously it moves pretty fast, the entire journey. How was it even at the very end, right after you broke up with, the other one?
Blake.
Blake?
You can say his
Okay, Blake. Switching exactly like from that like heartbreak and sadness over into like the obvious joy that you had with Garrett.
I mean, there's time in between. So, of course, when it airs, it's boom, boom, boom. But I had some time to gather my thoughts and take time alone for myself. And yeah, I mean, of course, it's not a conventional journey. But yeah, I still had that time to change the mindset and to get excited. And I mean, I knew that day, again, I was going to have to go through some hurdles, but it was worth it in the end to get to this one.
The editing too. They probably leave out a lot of what you guys experienced together too in the edits of the show.
Yeah, because when I was telling her, I was like, I love you so much, and I was like, I want to make sure that you know about me before I express myself. So I was like, what's my middle name and when's my birthday? She's like, July 17th, your name's Michael. I was like, we're getting there.
Still wrong.
No.
But yeah, it's hard because there's so much that happens, so many fun interactions and conversations, but again, you have to condense it into 2 hours each week.
Yeah, you guys had a cute bloopers there with her balls,
Yeah, they were soft.
We had a lot
they
of
were really
bloopers.
soft. And there was a cool
still have
story
that
behind
hat.
the hat, too, that they didn't air. And it was this lady, when she found her husband, that she fell in love with him and married him. So she came over and gave us that hat.
But when they got engaged, she, I think, was wearing that hat. So she saw us there and gave it to us.
There it is.
We still have it.
Yes.
You guys have all those personal memories that we don't get to see. One day, release the tapes, all right?
Just all the clips of us.
Yeah.
Who's next? Here we go.
Hi.
Hi, you guys. Welcome to New York.
Thank
Thank
you.
Who were the first people that you told that you guys, that you were chosen and that you had chosen Garrett? Because I know you have to keep quiet for a while. So who'd you tell?
We did. So when we were in the Maldives, we actually called his family first and FaceTimed. Well, you should take this story because this was a good one.
Yeah, so I called my family, and they were in Oregon at my uncle's 60th birthday, and it was my mom, my brother, and my sister-in-law all in one bed. And at the time when I called, it was probably 4 a.m. They were sharing a bed. And I called them, and I told them, I was acting a little down, like, Becca broke up with me, but I'll be home in a few days. I hope you guys are having a great time out in Oregon at the birthday. I miss everybody. I love you guys. And they were so down. And then I just was like, I was like, who is that behind me? And I panned over with my phone on FaceTime, and she's standing in the background like, hi. So it was a cool surprise. But
And his mom started jumping up and down in the bed, was so excited.
Yeah. And they had a moment in time there where they could have started talking a little smack or something, but they didn't. And they had
I
my
was
back.
thinking, they're like, you're letting this go on for way too long. I was like, what are they going to say?
Yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah. And then,
What about you? Yeah.
And then, so we waited I think 2 days before I called my mom, just because of the time difference. It was so hard. We don't have our phones, so we had to wait till we could get someone's. And my mom was freaking out because she knew when the proposal would be happening, and she obviously wanted me to call her right away, and I just couldn't. And so she was texting the producers like, get Rebecca on the phone. Like, I need to know what her decision was. And they kept pushing her off.
Who did you choose?
Yeah. And so finally I kind of did the same thing. I FaceTimed with her first, talked to her for a little bit, didn't give it away, and then I slowly panned over to him. And both her and my sister started sobbing right away because they loved him so much.
They took a deep breath. They're like,
They really did like you, Garrett, though. You
loved
went
him,
well
yes.
with the family there.
It
Was it Uncle Chuck, too? Is that your uncle's name?
Uncle Chuck.
He's got like a fan following now, too, on Twitter.
Yeah. My family loves him, though, and that's the thing. Like, they all walked away from their time with him saying they felt like they knew him already. Like, they had known him for years. And that was something really special, too, because I felt that exact same way.
Sweet. All right, who's next?
Hi.
Hi.
I love you both.
Oh, thank you.
So I know you've both become friends with a lot of the guys and the girls from your seasons. So I was just wondering if there was anything that happened behind the scenes with them that you wish would have made it on the episode.
Oh, man. One thing, oh, God, he will kill me for telling this story. Jason, during his hometown date, we had the chicken wing eating contest. And, you're trying to eat as fast as possible.
You're a champ at that, by the way.
Those wings were so good. I was like,
my gosh.
I'm
I
just
have a
going to
When
sit
in
here and
Buffalo, I
enjoy
guess.
them. But so we did the contest. I look over at Jason. I'm like, do I have food in my teeth? He's like, no, you're good. And he's like, do I have food in my teeth? I'm like, no, you look fine. 5 minutes later, he comes walking in. He's like, my tooth is chipped. He's like, you didn't even notice my tooth was chipped. He chipped it on a chicken wing. And it was so funny, and that's one thing I wish maybe made it in the bloopers. I'm sure he's glad it didn't, but
yeah, I have one too. And it involves Jason as well. We were in Vegas. We were in Las Vegas, and we were gonna do a racing. We were gonna do a race in the hallway outside of the room. And I had shoes on, and he had socks. And I said, "Are you sure you want to have your socks on?" He said, "Yeah." So somebody 3, 2, 1, go kind of thing. And we started, and we took off, and he slipped, so I beat him down the hallway. Well, I stopped, and I stayed at the end of the hallway, and Colton said, "Jason, I got you, let's go." So Jason and Colton line up, and they're in the hallway, and I'm at the very end. Me and Wills are standing at the very end. They're running down the hallway full speed, and Jason somehow hits Colton, hits off the wall, and comes at me like a bowling ball. And I didn't have time to jump or move out of the way. All I could do was turn, and he hit the back of my legs. And I'm not kidding when I say that my feet went above my head, and I landed flat on my back in the hallway. And all the air went out of my lungs, and I just laid there and was like, ah. I thought my season was over.
They got beat up. So then the next week, I meet them all in Richmond, and some of them have bruises, some have scabs. I'm like, what happened to you guys? And they're like, Vegas got to us.
Yeah, and tackling Clay was like trying to tackle a car on the street.
Should have just been like, we all fell out of the bunk bed. All of us. He'll never live that down.
Oh, David.
We have one more question left.
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm so glad to see that it seems like this journey has ended for you in a way where this was all worth it.
It was.
My big question is, and not to go too much into the past, but what was your decision like being like offered to become the Bachelorette, to go through all of this again? What was that process like for you? Like, how long was that? Like, over how many meetings? I'm so glad that it has worked out well for you, but I can't imagine what that must have been like.
I mean, it wasn't quick, and I would say like a month and a half. There was a couple meetings involved. I always stayed in touch with the producers. Like, they're amazing people. And so it was slowly starting to be thrown around. You know, I had a couple meetings out in California to talk about it, but they were like, take your time, you know, figure out if you're truly ready, if this is what you want to do again. And I had so many conversations with my family and friends, and a lot with my mom, because she was skeptical about me doing it the first time around. And she's like, well, are you sure you want to do it again? But once I talked with my mom and sister about, you know, this is going to be on my terms now, and I'm in the driver's seat. I can find somebody who is the best fit for me. I think it put their minds at ease. And so to have their support kind of tied it in a nice little bow on top to send me on my way.
Well, we're so glad you did it. You are such a good Bachelorette.
Thank you.
I'm
We're
glad
happy
too.
That was very cute. We're happy you found love, because it was very hard to watch you get heartbroken last season. So we're very happy. And before we go, you guys have to spill some beans about Chris Harrison. Like, tell us everything.
Chris, oh my, like, I love him so much, and he was somebody that I could lean on throughout the entire journey, because he's done it for so long. He has seen it all, but he is so dang funny and just quick and witty, and that's something that I didn't get to see as much last season, because he's with the lead more. And so I spent a lot more time with him, and like, he's amazing.
Yeah,
he's wonderful.
With the little time I got to spend with him, he was very humorous and fun to be around, and he even joked around with me in the Maldives with the few days we got to spend with one another after the proposal, and he joked with me in the water and said, man, someone's got to teach you how to propose.
He's like, didn't you do this before?
Oh, yeah, he burned me pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, you did it before, but you did it again, and hopefully this turns out much better for the both of you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
congratulations, guys. Thank you all for being here. And good luck. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.